What's up, guys? Welcome back to Kick It with Lou's Fix It. Today I got a nice one for you guys. I got the Tamiya Ford Mustang GT4. We about to put this baby all together, piece by piece. Piece by piece, piece by piece. And I'm going to show you guys how to get this baby hooked up, running, and then I'm going to come back for another one, and I'm going to show y'all how to put a bad paint job on her. Then I'm going to come back for another one, and I'm going to show y'all how to put a even more bad light kit on her. So stick around, and we're going to hook this baby up. The first round, this is the first round. We're going to go on the second and the third round. So keep up, keep coming back to these videos because we're going to go round 3 with this baby. So I'm going to tell y'all in the beginning of this video right here, subscribe, turn on your notification because you don't want to miss these videos.
Go, let's kick it. Go. Chillin' with Lou's Fix It. Talking about that RC life. Go and kick it. Welcome to Lou's Fix It. Go.
Alright, so right now all I'm doing is taking out the necessary that I'm going to need to put this car together. When they give you the description of pieces that you need on these charts, you got a main board on these charts. It should be a flat piece that does nothing, that don't break off. And it will tell you what this chart is. This chart is B. Next to every piece that breaks off is a number. So they will tell you for these specific pieces that you're going to need for this section, take part B5, B6, and let's say E7. So you will go on here, okay, this is chart B. I want 5, 6, and I go to chart E and get piece 7. And it tells you everything. It tells you the chart, and next to each piece it tells you the pieces of it. So do not break these off of your charts before you start working. Take these pieces, do exactly like I'm doing. Sit them lined up. And these ones that got 2, this is pretty much your left and your right side. Okay, so step 1, step 3 as they say, but step 1 as far as building, what they say you need, you are going to need an M7. Your M7 is inside of your, your MA7. Your MA7 is inside of your red bag of screws. There's a little rod, a little pin that you put through. It looks like the pin that goes on your axle when you're putting the tire together before you put the tire on. You have a pin like that. You have M5 that is on, a C5 that is on your C-rack. Number 5, you need that piece. You need your GB2. Your GB2 comes inside of your bag of your gearing. Is a loose piece that's inside there. That's one of your gearing. That's GB2. It do not say on there that it is GB2, but when you're putting it together, you know that that's GB2. GB3 is a circle piece, is a small piece, and it got like a little L angle hanging off the side of it. That's your GB3. That will be inside the same bag with your gearing. And you need 2, this is not brush bearing, I think this is called. Okay, so to get this set up, first thing you do, you take your C5, you put a brush bearing on, you put that that B3, and you want it to face outwards. You want the bigger half to face towards the end of your rod. You take your pin, you put your pin through. You take your gear, you're going to need your gearing. This is a GB5. This is the same gearing that's inside of the gear bag. And you slide that in. And when you slide it in, it's going to go on that pin. But you got to slide the second one, the GB3. You got to spin that one until that gearing slides all the way in. If not, your little pin going to keep dropping out. Then you take your second brush bearing, put that on, and your gear, your final gear, what is that, your GB2, put that on, and that makes your spur gear. So you slide that in, you sit that inside of the place where it goes. There's 2 cups on the front and the back for your brush bearings to go. Then step number 4, you need C4. It's a long rod. It's 2 of them. I don't know why it's 2. I guess I'll find that out later on in the process of putting this together. So you need your center shaft. That's C5. You need another. No, C4 is your center shaft. You need another C5. You need 2 more your brush bearings and another one of your gears. So what you do is you take your C4, your C5, plug them in together. You put your 2 brush bearings on the end. You're going to separate them as they fit inside of the car. It shows you, inside of the chassis, it shows you how it fits. And then you put your gear at the end, right? You slide your center shaft onto your spur gear. Space out your 2 brush bearings so it can slide down into place. And that is your center shaft with your gears on it. Everything is in place. Sorry for the interruption. There is a D15 piece that you put on the chassis in between the 2 brush bearings in this section. Another thing, there is a small tube of grease inside of the box. Please use that to grease up all of your components that will be moving, that spins any component that need greasing. Now let's continue on with the program. Next step, you're going to need a D2 and 2 MA screws. Your MA screws is inside this big package of all the screws that you have inside there. It's the bigger screws that's inside there. And you put that piece down and just screw it down. Nice and simple. One side of the D2 piece goes over your brush bearing to hold everything down in place, and then you just throw the 2 screws inside there, and step 4 is complete. Step 5 is complete. Step 6. Step 6, we making our differentials. The differentials is pretty simple to make. So let's put the chassis to the side because we're not doing our differentials. So your differentials, I'm gonna make both of them at a time. So for your differential, you're gonna need G1, G2, and G3. This is your G-rack. The smaller one is your G-rack. Yes. So I took G1, G2, and G3. So you're going to need pretty much all of these. Your G-rack should be empty after you finish. And G1 is this cross. Do not throw that away. That's your cross that's holding all your gearing together inside there. So I'm working both of mine. So I'm going to take all of mine off one shot, one time. And if you never built the differential before, this is going to show you how to deal with your differentials in the future. So me, I'm going to get some differential fluid because I will be filling mine up with differential fluid. I won't leave it empty as they say to do. Alright, so for my differential fluid, I will be using a Traxxas differential fluid 10K. This is the lightest one I have. Let me see. Yes, this is the lightest one I have, and it still moves around. It's a little thick, but it moves around in there. That's pretty good for this one right here. So what we be doing, this one is so simple, so simple. This is so simple. Your gearing, you have, if you take it and you're doing both of them at a time just like me, your gearing, you have 4 big ones, and you have 8 small ones. You have 2 crosses. You have your cup, and you have your outside gearing. That's all your components for, right? So what you're going to do, take your 8 small ones, put 4 on each side of this cross that you have here, and face your gearing towards the inside. Next, what you want to do, you want to take your bigger gear, just slide it down inside there. So me, I'm going to put my differential fluid. If you don't want to put differential and you just want to use the grease that they give you, as they say on here, just grease up your parts, you can do that. Me, I'm putting differential because I know the action of my differential when it don't have fluid inside there. I know what's going to happen if I don't put any fluid in there. Then you take your square with your gears on it and you slide it down in the grooves where it shows to slide it down. So for my differential fluid, all I did is put a little bit of on the outside of my differential, the gear that I put down there, I went around there. I didn't put nothing in the center because it's a hole in the center of it. So when you put that square inside there, that's that T that you just made, and with the gears on it, when you put that inside there, it's a little stopper it's a little piece that pokes out that goes down in that hole. Now you don't have to worry about your differential fluid going out, falling out of there. So what I'm going to do now is just fill in my corners. I don't want to pack it in. I don't want to go crazy with my differential fluid. I just want to make it where it's greased up and it's good inside there. And I don't have to worry about, if I was to turn this thing up to a 3S, will I have to worry about my differential fluid, messing up on me. So now after you get your differentials, your gearing and everything, and you're going to close it up, you have 4 pins on the face of this last gearing that goes in. The pins that's on the face of it slides down where you had your cross, where you put your arms to your cross at, and that slides down. So easy, so easy. When I say this is so easy, it's so easy. You don't even have to be nervous of getting one of these kits and building one of these kits. These kits is so easy. All right, so after you put everything together, put them 4 screws that's inside there. And the 4 screws is the small silver. It's like a shiny silver screws, smaller than the rest of them. And it's 4 of those you put inside each one. And your differentials is done. So after you're done with your differentials, bring your chassis back over. It says you're going to need, now this is where the brass bearings come in. Those one goes on your differential and they slide down into place. Alright, so this is why some of this stuff on here is pretty easy, but it's easy for people that knows how to build their cars already. Because the differentials can fit on either side. You can put them on either side. And this only tells you how to put the differential on, I believe. Okay. So it tells you how to put the differentials on. But when you're putting them on, to know if your differentials is on the right way, this is the front of your car, this is the back of your car. When you push the differential forward, your front end should push forward. It shouldn't come back to you. If you got your differentials on the same side, when you push forward on your gearing in the front and the back, your differential in the front gonna spin backwards because you got it on opposite. So you got it on the wrong side. So you don't want that. You want your gearing when you push forward, when you roll your differential forward, you want everything to move forward. You don't want your front differentials moving forward and your back differential to move backwards, because when your motor is in and you're trying to run the car, this is the action that it's going to get. Your back wheel is going to move forward, your front wheels are going to move backwards. So make sure you got your differentials in the right way and not backwards. Please, please, please. I don't want nobody have to open up their car after they done rebuilt it. After they done built it and put everything together. So next thing, you need your differential cover. That is your A4. You need 4 A2 screws. The A2 screws is the standard screws, the silver screws that they have in there. You're going to have plenty of them, so you would know which ones is your A2. Okay, so now we got our center shaft in. We got our spur gear in. We got our differentials in. We moving along, baby. We definitely moving along. So for the front they says it's a cap that goes on. What do you need? What do you need? Okay, what is that? A2. I need an A2. So you slide that A2 over the 2 pins that's coming up. Throw 2 screws inside of it. Okay, next step. We're going to need a A7, a B13. We need a P7. So your P7 goes inside. That's your bearing. That's your yeah, pretty much your bearing that goes inside of your arms. So when you put your top arms in, it's going to be a little piece that pokes out from the front of it. That faces to the back part of the car. You put your arms of your P7 in. This piece that you put on the front slides in. Is 2 holes on the bottom of it. 2 loops down on the bottom of it. As you can see, the loops now is on the top. Those slide into the second part of the arms. And no screw. What screws in? Okay, so this face screws into there. Let me get that on there. Alright, so I got that done up. Bop, 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 bop. Let's go to 9. What's 9? 9 is telling you to work the back. The back is the same, like I thought. Like I said, the back is the same. The same thing you just did to your front. You use the same pieces on the back of it. Alright, my next step, you're going to need your motor. Now it's time to mount our motor. We're going to mount it on. We're not going to mount it on yet, but we're going to put it on this mount with this pinion gear. You got your motor. You got your motor plate, which pretty much is a gasket. You got your piece. This is a D9 piece. It comes off the D-rack. That's a D9 piece. You're going to need 2 screws. The screws to put your motor on will be a fine thread screw. There's 2 of them inside there. It's darker screws than the rest of them, and it's a real fine thread. You're going to need those 2 screws. And I believe that's it. So this one right here, this motor will be my motor inside of this car. So I will be using screw lock to put my pinion gear and my motor mount on so that everything is in. And I don't have to worry about it loosening up. So if you have screw lock, you should have screw lock if you're going this far as to use a build kit. That should be one thing you should have. The differential fluid you may not have, but screw lock, you should have it. So to put your gear in together, it tells you on the chart where to place your screws at on the gear, on the motor to mesh the pinion gear to your spur gear properly. So on here, on your motor, you have 2 screws. You have 1 screw on the side, but you have your 2 screws, your main screws, top and bottom. You get your gasket, line it up to where your screws is at. Make sure it's over your screws and just not over the open space of your motor. Line your gasket up. You take your screws and line them up to where your pinion gear, where it's telling you to line up with your pinion gear on number 22. Screw lock up your screws because you're not gonna need to test your mesh. You can test it, but you don't really need to test your mesh on this because they pretty much giving you a lineup where to screw everything into. Now, sit your motor inside. See if it works properly with the mesh that they tell you before you finish everything up. Ooh, that works fine to me. All right, let's finish off. Let's see how they tie the motor down. Alright, so they telling you you are going to need a D3. And this pretty much just sits up there. Make sure she down snug. And pay attention to the screws that they telling you to put in for the first time. Your first screws to put in. Because they're not telling you to put all of the screws in. They only tell you to put 3 screws. That's 2 to your top, 2 to your, on the opposite side of where your motor is at, and 1 on the side where your motor is at. All right, so my motor is mounted in. What's my next step? They want you to put your arms for your battery in when you put your motor in. That is a B2. And you slide those two in. How's they telling you to slide them in? Do they face forward? That one face, yep. You slide them in and they facing pretty much towards each other. And then you take two screws, oh, I skipped a step. So underneath the bottom, your body, your mount for your motor, that screws in through the bottom. See, the other car didn't screw in for your motor mount. It just sat there. All right, so your motor, everything is in on your motor. That thing is done up. All right, so what they're telling you to do, flip your car up. Now you're putting your bottom arms on. So you flip your car up. All right, so you need two B1s. You need a A9. Okay, so when your A1s go on, the logo, the side where the logo is at is towards the front. And then you put your A1, that is an A1, an A9, you put your A9, you slide your A9 in, and you put your screw through the bottom and screw it in. And that will be it for this process. All right, let's go to my next. Next, you get a B8. Your B8, that is this piece. Flip it back up. She ain't supposed to have been flipped up yet. So you take your B8 and you put your B8 on. You take your two sunken screws. Those go into the bottom of it. And then you got two long screws. The long screws will be black screws. They go into the back end of it. All right, that's step 16. Let's move on with it. We moving. So you're gonna take B14. Where's that other bottom piece? There we go. You're gonna take another, what is this? B8. Those are the pieces you're gonna need. Flip her back up. You're gonna need your second A3. No, that's not an A3. What is that? A9. Sorry. Need your second A9. This is why I was working front and back, because the front and back is the same thing. Only thing different with these is that the arms is a little different because you got your control arms on these. So let me pop them little circle pieces, and you still have the same circle pieces that went on the top. They go on the bottom too. You pop them little circle pieces in. For the front. That's the back for the front. The logo faces forward on the front end, not like the back end. The back end, the logo faces back. Put that little cap piece on again. Screw it down. Okay. Oh, let me put this skid plate on it. So you drop your skid plate. All right, let's get forward. Let's get moving forward with this baby. So, where was we? I had to take me a lunch break, but I'm back. All right, so next up, we're going to be putting our axles together. I don't need that to put my front and back axles. I'm not thinking I need it. I don't think I need it. I don't think I need it. You need your two A1 pieces, A6 and A10. You need those two pieces. You're gonna need 2 screws. Need a C3 and you're gonna need a C2. So your C3 is your long one with the screw. That's for your tire, your hex for your tires, and the C2 is going into your differential from the side. Then you're going to need your C. You're going to need both of your C1s. That C is empty, so no more to the C. That's your front end. So you're going to need all of your A8s and A10s. It's 2 and 2. That's for your top and your bottom of your arms. So I'm just getting everything to finish off this arm. When I'm done with these pieces, this arm is going to be completely finished. You need 2 screws to go into the top and the bottom on both sides. And I believe that's it. So, first thing first, put your piece inside that going into your differentials. You don't need a washer with that. I could have sworn you would need a washer to go in there, but they say you don't. This is where these bushes come into play now. So these pieces here, you take this, put a bush on it, slide it inside. That's it. These do not have a top or bottom. Whether if it's top or bottom, both sides is the same. So what you would do is take one of your dog bones, put it on the inner part, that part that went onto your differential. Take this outer part that you just made, slide it onto the dog bone. You slide your arms into place, top and bottom. Now this piece is on there, top and bottom. So I took the wrong one. I took the wrong piece off. It's an A6 and an A10, not an A8. The A8s I'm gonna put back to the side, and it's the A6 pieces. I was wondering why I wasn't screwing down and staying there. It was screwing down and falling off after I screw it. All right, so the A6 goes on the top. Put a screw inside of there. So the A8 goes onto your arm, onto that piece first, and then you put your arm there, and then you put your A10 on the bottom for a spacer. Then you put your screw in. And there she goes. Alright, that's one side, and you just do the same thing on the opposite side. Alright, let's move on. So they telling you to do the both, your front and your back. So let's get those up on there. Let's put them on them. I'm gonna put it on them. Alright, so putting the axle and all that together is the same as it was in the front. That's why I didn't go through explaining that to you. It's just when you putting your putting this onto your arms, the longer end faces the bottom, the short end faces the top. That's all to it, and we're gonna move on. Oh, one more thing. Putting these together, these is, you have a long screw is dead on the front, and it's a screw closer to the head. Those are the screws that go through here, and I believe all of them is the same size. I don't think any of them is different sizes. Yeah, all of them is the same size, so don't worry about which one you use where. And you slide it all the way through, and the screw is what screws onto the end part. Alright, so we working here, baby. We working it. So here we got our shocks. Now, for your shocks, to create your shocks, it is the same as the last one. You need a B15, B3, B10, B9, and B16 in your spring. And to put those together, You take your B15, which is a smaller part. Is a small part. You take your B15 and your B3, and you slide it in together. But when you slide it in together, one side is an oval shape, one side is a square shape, and one side is a circle. The circle is on your face side of your, what is that? Your B3, right? That's where it screws in at. Well, you got a plug that goes in there. Then you take your B10 is a circle part. Oh, is a circle with a pin in the middle of it. You take that pin and you put it inside of the hole that I just told you about. That's step number 2. Step number 3, take your B9 as a washer piece, slide that on, slide your spring on afterwards, and then take your B16 and put your B16 in. But your B16 is tricky. It ain't gonna fit in any way. You gotta spin it so it slide right in. Once you get it in, you give it another spin and it'll lock it on and it won't pull back out. Just a small trick. It's like a screw on that they have inside the shaft. These do not take any shock oil. These is not shock oil filled, so do not attempt to put shock oil inside. It's just gonna drain out and you're gonna waste your shock fluid. Alright, so now that you got all of your shocks put together, I believe we are working from the front. Yes, we are working from the front. So all your shocks is put together on the face of your body. You have 2 screws at a slight angle here. Then you got 2 screws on the bottom here. So they telling you to put it on the closest screw so it'll be closer together. So you're gonna go with the top screw here, and you're gonna go with the bottom screw here. And you screw your shock on accordingly. And to screw your shocks in, you have these screws where it's you have your head, you have a blank piece, and then you have the thread on the bottom of it. The back is the same way. You use the closest screws to screw everything in. Alright, so now we got our shocks together. Next thing is our control arms for the servo. So we are going to need a B12, B11, and A3. We need 2 of them, 2 of each. So they say first snap your B11s inside of your B12. Pretty simple. Alright, so what you're going to do with these pieces is, so your first screw, you're going to put on the other side of this arm, because one of these arms screwed into this piece here. You're going to take this screw and screw it onto this arm that's already on there. And you go into the furthest screw out, correct? Yes, you're going to the furthest screw out, not in, out. You're screwing into that screw. Right, now after you have that into there, this middle piece goes, I don't see how that's gonna work, but this middle piece goes there. You need a washer. There's a couple washers, but you need 1 washer, and you need one of these longer, it's a screw head with the space and the thread on the bottom. You need one of those. You put the washer, you put the screw in the washer underneath the screw before you screw it down. Alright, now we got that all together. That's all together. We got a sponge. So it slides little things in. It tells you to put the sponge down now instead of waiting until when you're actually going to need to put it down, but maybe that's involving the next step. Alright, slap that sponge up in there. Next, they want you to put your servo together. ESC, make sure your servo is at 0. Got her dancing, got her dancing. All right, so now we got it at 0. So where's my servo pieces? This is all my servo pieces. This whole thing here is for my servo. Alright, so I think I know how this goes on. You have 2 pieces for the teeth that's inside there. That one works. I gotta see how the servo is gonna sit inside here before I can put everything on. Alright, so it says it's gonna sit just like this. So your first piece that you put in is a circle, and it's a little notch that sits down on the bottom of it. I doubt if you can see that. That notch faces down. That's your first piece that you put on. Right? Your second piece you put on is a circle, and it got a slit where it's a hole inside of it, is a slit inside of it. That slit goes over where that notch is at. This piece goes on. The next piece that goes on is this little piece. It's a little weird shape, and it got that same notch on the bottom. That same notch goes inside of the other slit that's on the bottom there, right? Then you have your little washer that goes inside of that hole. You take your smallest screw that you have here in the bunch. I got a screw in my package for my servo. I guess that's why they don't give you a screw, because there's already a screw inside of, because you got to provide your own servo. So you should have a screw inside your servo package that works with that. That will be that one there. Next, you take A5. A5 is the piece that connects both of your pieces from side to side, both of your control arms from side to side. That's A5, right? A5 gets screwed down with them same screws. Where's the head, the spacer, and the screw on the thread on the bottom. To get your servo down, there's 2 pieces. What is those called? The A12s. You have 2 A12s. The A12 pieces goes on the... It goes into the back part of the servo, and you screw it into the back part of the servo. So you can use screws that you have here, or you can use your screws that you have in your servo box. I'm going to use the screws that I have here. Okay. Now we got our servo in motion. It's in motion. We have movement. All right, let's see what we have next. What they tell you to put in next. Okay, I need my piece for my antenna. So they tell you to run your ESC into your antenna into here and screw this down. Okay, got my antenna in there like they say. Ba, 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 ba. Alright, so they want you to take 2 pieces, 1 and 2. So that's D7 and D8. They want you to take D7 and D8, and they want you to screw down your motor. Not bad. So take D7 first. All these, I believe all these is these little black screws. They give you a... My switch don't go the way they have it on here, so I'm going to just screw this down. Next. Bum, bum. I did that. I put all that down. Your ESC. So, what they saying is your ESC sits right here in between your servo and your motor. Your switch is supposed to come underneath, next to your motor, on the mount that goes on top of the cover that goes on top of your motor. But it's an on-off switch, and my ESC don't have an on-off switch to switch back and forth. It has a button that you push in. So my button can't fit there, so I'm gonna put it on the side of my ESC. But they give you a lot of double-sided tapes inside of this package, so I'm gonna just use it. They give it to me, I'm gonna use it, baby. Alright, so my ESC, my receiver, my on-off buttons sits here nice and perfect. Let me plug everything in. Okay, everything is functioning. Let me lay my wires to the side. Let me finish up the body. Let me finish up what I gotta do with this. Okay, next, glue my tires. This is the problem I had the last time with my tires, but I will not be gluing my tires. I'm not gonna glue my tires because I will be painting my rims to match the body, and I'm gonna do that when I'm doing the body, so I'm not gonna put the tires on, and I'm not gonna glue them. All right. Okay, so that's what these last four is for. Let's put a little oil up on there, a little grease. Push them brush bearings on there. All right, and you should have 4 pins. Take your 4 pins. You push your 4 pins through, and see, they give you an option on your tires, how you want to put your tires on, right? They give you your regular hex pieces that you just put on, right? Your regular hex pieces. They give you 2 where you got your rotor in the back. They give you 2 big where your rim will stick out further. They give you 2 big ones. And then they give you 2 small ones where your back tires will sit out wide, your front tires will sit in close. Or they give you where you could put all 4 small ones where all your tires will line up straight together. For my back tires, like I said, I'm getting the ones that pokes out extremely far from my back tires. I'm going to use that one on my back tires. And I'm going to use the smaller one on my front tire. It seems like I'm going to have to modify the big pieces. I'm going to have to shave it down maybe about I would say like 1/8 of an inch. So until I'm done, I'm just going to put the regular pieces on. And I'm going to modify the bigger pieces, the longer pieces, and shave it down just a little bit so that I could get a screw on there, because I can't get the nut up on there the way it's sitting. Okay, so now after I got all my tires on, the next step after your tires is just putting your mounts on. Your mounts go on. You have 2 longer ones with an L shape, right? That goes onto your back. The straight ones, the short straight ones, screw onto your front. You just push them in through the through the inside of it, and screw your screw into the outside of it. After that one, let me see, after that, you do your front and your back mounts. Then you put your diffuser on. Your diffuser protection, you put that on, and then you put your front piece on top of it. It's 4 screws, 2 screws. And then you do the same on the back, same piece. Same 2 screws. Yes, that's the last page. So, with that being the last page, the last step is to put your batteries, your clips on for your battery. You got a little brace that holds your battery into place. Put that on. And you zip tie all your screws. But the problem with this is, where do you zip tie anything? You don't have a mount to go over the top. That mount that goes over the top is everything on these cars. When you got all, they give you, why is this long, man? But let me turn it around to the clean side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find some kind of way to, I always find a way. I'm talking about it now, but I always find a way. And I'm going to get my wires in to look a lot more cleaner up inside here. So let me give you a quick rundown on what you can do. You can take your wires, put them in a little wrap. Put them, the ESC and the servo wires, you roll it up. So I'm going to just take the wires, I'm going to wrap them up, and then I'm going to tie wire them around where you plug your connectors in. So that pretty much hit all the wires that were just sitting up, hanging out. I don't know, but that will be my finish. Now to finish off my body, because I'm not finished with this until I poke my holes into my body to mount it. Now to mount it, I just want to sit it here while it's clear, and I always do this when the body is clear. I sit it here and I make sure that where they telling me to poke my holes through is actually where I need to poke my holes through. And yes, they is on point. They is definitely on point. So let me poke my holes through here. Okay. So we got the body on. That's just the body on. That's step one. Step two. Where's my clips? There we go. Step two is. Now, I'm not going to get this perfect right now. 100% I'm not going to get this perfect right now. But step two is just to mount the body at the height where you think you might need it. What? That look good to me. Okay, so that's that for the build kit. Let's see how she moves. I ain't gonna take outside because I ain't glue the tires down. Like I said, the tires is not gonna get glued down because I'm gonna spray the tires. Whatever color I'm gonna spray it, I'm gonna spray the tires and I'm gonna make it the same color. I don't know how I'm gonna do the tires, but I know 100% I'm gonna spray the tires. Ooh. I like this thing. The back is crazy. The reverse on it is crazy. As soon as you hit reverse, like it goes back faster than it goes forward. I like it. I ain't gonna lie, I do like it. It look like it do a donut in reverse. Oh no. I ain't making no, it ain't gonna make no tire marks, but I ain't trying to make no tire marks on my table. I did get some tire marks, but it'll rub out. But anyway, that is the build. Like you see, she got power. I don't know how fast she gonna go. I ain't gonna figure out how fast she gonna go until I put her out on the street. So I'm gonna kick out of here with that one. This one was long enough. If you stuck around this long, man, hit that subscribe. Turn on that notification because you're going to like any other thing that I put up here because this was a long one. I'm going to try to cut it down as much as I could. I showed the full build. So the full build is not going to be 5-10 minutes, nowhere near 5-10 minutes. So if you stuck around this long, hit that subscribe. Turn on your notifications so that you can be the first one to see these videos, first one to like these videos, first one to share these videos, and the first one to comment. Because I always say, talk to me, I'll talk back. So until the next run,